It's noon on Wednesday, March 30th, and this is news that you can use from YAA with your hosts, Zach and Ray. And apparently I didn't get the memo that I needed the turtleneck today.
We've got Justice in the house with us, Space here, Leon's here, Steven's here, MDG, Bobby John. We got a good show today. We're wearing the headphones, and that means one thing and one thing only. That means there's probably going to be a...
Pops, I think someone's at the door. Can you let him in?
By all means.
We are doing a good job recently. We're getting some people that actually have industry knowledge on the show. Dad, this is Yossi Levi, the CEO, founder of a company called GettaCar, which if you're on the East Coast, you've probably heard of. Yossi, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Thank you, guys. Excited to be here.
Yeah.
We got Yossi.
We do. All right, so here's the deal. Used car market is in shambles. New cars can't get produced. We wanted someone who's got their pulse on the ground, boots on the ground, their finger on the
pulse. If his pulse is on the ground, the son of a gun is dead. Okay.
Yossi, share a little bit about yourself, GettaCar, how long you've been in the industry, and then let's jump into like what's going on in the market and what you're seeing.
Yeah, happy to. Thanks guys for having me here. I'm excited. A little bit about myself. Started in the industry at 14 years old. I always like to say, my dad took my ass to work and said, go sell some cars. That was the non-glamorous start in the industry. But we had it was an independent, just small car lot. And really did that growing up. And then when I finished undergrad, I partnered up with my father on a small used car dealership, which is where I really learned the business. And then in 2018, as you know, I was a young guy in the business. I was fed up with the experience. I said, there has to be a better way to do this. And I had the idea for Getta, and we say GettaCar, now we're calling it Getta, but we launched Getta in 2018, and it's been a very, very exciting 4 years of taking the industry through a digital transformation, which is really just a fancy way of saying bringing the experience up to the modern demands of what people want. No one wants to sit at a dealership for an entire day anymore. People want to go through like the Amazon experience when buying a car, and so with us. We're actually taking traditional dealers and putting them through our, quote unquote car wash, but converting them and bringing them up to the just modern experience that you and I would want when we're buying a car.
That's pretty cool. So, all right. I think the first question that I'll throw out there is then, are you like Carvana, like a regional Carvana?
Yeah. So we're not like Carvana. Carvana is e-commerce only. So they only sell online and you can pick up the car after you make the purchase. We're actually omni-channel, right? So that just means that with us, you can buy the car online, buy it in store, buy online, pick up in store, buy in store, get it delivered, sort of all of the above. So we just give you more options. And so that as a customer, you're not limited, right? If you find a car you like, or if you want to, come buy a car from us and get the great experience, you don't have to only buy online. You just simply have more options with us.
Got it. Okay. Makes plenty of sense.
Much like Carvana, though, you need to source cars. And God knows the wholesale prices of cars today are astronomical. What is it that you do that's different that allows you to get your hands on nice cars for your customer base?
Yeah. So, one of our core principles since day one, and this was very unsexy when we launched, like 4 years ago, but we're vertically integrated, which just means that we have many different functions with we're sort of 7 businesses in one, I like to say, as opposed to just like a marketplace where, we're showing other dealers' cars. And so we have our own reconditioning center, our own logistics. We do our own in-house. Well, we do financing. It's not in-house, but we have financing relationships that are in-house. We do sales in-house, merchandising. We sort of do all these things in-house. And by being a vertically integrated business, we're able to simply deliver a better product to the customer with a better experience, and also actually do it profitably because you're creating more value along the value chain. And so, we have a 10-acre reconditioning center in Eastern PA, which can process, over $500 million of sales per year in vehicles. And so it's just like a big assembly line. When you go in there, you get the car mechanically reconditioned, cleaned up, any body work that needs to be done to it, photography, kind of soup to nuts. It's all done in-house.
Can you talk a little bit about that, Yossi? Because everything that we're seeing, everything that we're reading is talking about how, the traditional channels for acquiring used cars are lackluster at best. You're not getting lease turn-ins. People are not necessarily interested in trading in because they're seeing how their car's appreciating. So you're going to the auctions, and then we look at the auctions and we hear that rental car companies are buying cars up left and right. And then you actually have companies like Carvana buying the second largest auction house in the United States. Can you talk a little bit about your experience sourcing inventory and the reconditioning piece? Because there is a myth on YouTube that car dealers do not recondition cars. And my dad is adamant that they do because he saw it happen. Can you share a little bit? Your company owns a reconditioning center. Can you talk a little bit about that process? Even though it might not be the sexiest thing to talk about, I think it's pretty worthwhile stuff.
Yeah, no, look, it's very important. Like I always say that is if consumers could see behind the scenes of every dealership and operation, they would have a much easier time making a choice where they want to buy, what retailer they want to give their business to, because it's sort of looking at a restaurant in the kitchen, right? Like you can see like who's clean, who's not clean, and whatnot. But what we do and what we've done is because we have this in-house reconditioning center, right? Every car that we buy, we call it like we bring it up to perfection. Now it's not actually perfect, right? But it's pretty damn close because we put it through so many different steps. You know, last I checked, we were at like 165 different points that are actually checked off by each technician throughout. But it's a very important part of the business. Now, if you look at the macro and you look at other like big auto retailers in the industry, some that have gone public in the last couple of years and have struggled, none of them are vertically integrated. And the ones that are vertically integrated, that do their own reconditioning, that control that experience in-house and have quality control, they're simply, outperforming the competition. And so I just think that we're in an industry where you just can't do this business successfully when it's a capital light and you try to outsource all these really important parts of your business, especially when it comes to the product or the service that is the point of where the service that makes contact with the consumer. And so that's really how we do it, by having very, very tight controls, by being laser focused on that experience, and by doing the hard work, which it sounds funny, but one of our early investors came out to our reconditioning center and they looked around and they're like, you guys are doing the hard work. And we laughed because it's not like what you typically see in like a typical Silicon Valley startup. But when you marry the two, it's something very special gets created.
Just out of curiosity, what would you say your average reconditioning cost per vehicle might be?
Yeah, so it really ranges. It depends on the year. Some vehicles you buy them, they're already maintained, or like you buy from a specific fleet that just did all the maintenance on it, right? And so it'll range, but you could say typically anywhere between $600 all the way to $1,200. And that's our cost, so
yes,
we're putting a lot of value into these cars that if a customer were to do it on their own, or if they were to go to a dealer that does not have this in-house, they'd be paying a markup on that, right? So this is, again, why you need to do it in-house, because you're able to pass on those savings to the consumer and they're able to get a better quality product for you.
I know when I was running dealerships and we would send the used car into the shop to get it evaluated so that they could tell us what it needed, and we were always at the service department's mercy because the owners always made sure that the service department was where these cars got reconditioned. And so we always paid retail and top dollar. And our average cost, when I was at our mini store that I was running, the average cost was somewhere between $1,500 to $2,000 per car in reconditioning. Now, one of the reasons it was that high is, well, they were minis, and they're just more expensive to maintain than many other cars. But there is a fallacy that most dealers never recondition cars. I'm sure there are some dealers that, other than wash or vacuum, don't really recondition cars, but most legitimate dealers, I think you would agree, would invest some money in reconditioning the car because they don't need the aggravation of the car being a piece of crap when they sell it to the customer.
Yeah, look, I don't know one reputable dealer that does not recondition at all. I think that going back to what you just said is an important point, that a traditional dealership is not meant to pump out, used cars for sale. It's just not set up for that purpose. And so when you put your car through the service department at a traditional used car dealership, like that the actual dealership is profiting from. There's a markup to you.
Yes.
And so it's a huge conflict of interest when you think about it. It never made sense to me. I didn't go to NADA school and I didn't come from the franchise world. So when I saw that and I saw, I remember seeing like people buying cars for new car franchise stores at the auctions. And I'm like, wait, like, why are you saying that? I was just always very curious. I was like, why are you saying that this tire would cost you $500 to replace? And then I understood that they're putting markups and all these other things. And so what we've done is we've eliminated that. Like our reconditioning center is a cost center, right? There's no markup on the stuff we do because it's just internal. It's meant to serve the sale. And so ultimately what that means in simple people terms is that if a normal, franchise dealer is paying $5 to do something and I'm paying $2 or $3 to do it, I can provide more value to the customer. I can do it twice. They can only do it once. And so you're just going to get a higher quality product if you're going to ultimately buy from a vertically integrated player like us.
Yeah, there's all sorts of reasons why when you share the reality that your service department was charging you retail, and there's just all sorts of points in that are antiquated and don't make sense.
Well, it's an in-house profit center.
No, exactly.
For the dealer. Yeah. It's certainly not an in-house profit center for the used car department.
I want to bring up a question that's coming in here, and we've got all sorts of kind words coming in. You guys are awesome, absolute gold mine of info, great. Yeah, we are so thrilled that we can bring people like Yossi onto the show. We appreciate it. But I've got a question here from Matt. How can you tell if a car has been properly reconditioned? And I want to parlay this into another question that's tied to a lot of companies similar to Getta that, and you got to keep me honest here, Yossi. Pre-purchase inspections. We preach left and right that consumers should get pre-purchase inspections. So 2 parts to this question. Does Getta offer customers to do pre-purchase inspections? That's 1. And then 2, how do you know that a vehicle's been properly reconditioned? That as a consumer, you should feel confident going in and purchasing that.
Yeah, so 2 parts of that question. Like I think the first part is like, if you go to the root cause, like the reason people are asking that is because they don't trust the place they're buying the car from. So I think what we're working on is creating a name where, and of course, again, Getta is not the consumer brand. Getta acquires the consumer brands to different dealers and transforms them. And so we have different brands under our name at the moment. Our first one being Danis Auto. But going back to your question, our goal is to create enough trust and have such a good reputation in the market that people don't want or they don't need a pre-purchase inspection because they know that we've put the car through the ringer to make sure it's great, right? Now, if someone wants to take one of our cars to a pre-purchase inspection, we'll never tell them no. All power to you. Enjoy, go for it. Like, happy to do that. But again, the root cause here is like if we can build enough trust with the customer through our brands, then they're going to come to us knowing that this place reconditions their vehicle. So how do we do that? Well, number 1, by selling a good quality product and getting great reviews and getting referral business. Number 2, we're very public about our reconditioning, and like we put up pictures on our social media channels. We show our techs, we show our warehouse, we show everything because we have nothing to hide. We want people to see it. We think it's a big competitive advantage to us. And so last thing I'll say is like, if you do find a specific car that you want at a dealer that's not reputable, I would definitely think that you would definitely want to do some pre-purchase inspection because you just don't know. And so you are going to assume some risk. But if you come to, someone like us, or, there's other great vertically integrated retailers that maybe focus on some different cars in the market, you go to them, more likely than not, you're going to go somewhere where they've done a strong pre-purchase inspection and based on reviews and other sentiment, you can trust that the car has been, well maintained.
If one of your customers asked you, gee, can we see the inspection report and the repair order of what you've done to the car, will you share that with the customers?
Yeah, absolutely, we would. And I think one of the cool things that's on our roadmap is to, like, as the techs, complete each vehicle and the maintenance, we actually want to show that to the customer, have it available on the vehicle detail page. So we think it could be super cool for all of our current and our future brands. But again, it's because we have that data. Another big thing that we have is like, it's all stored within our systems. So all it is connecting some integration between our reconditioning system to the website that the customer sees. And now, like, Zach comes to buy a car. Wow. Like, you can see, the brakes were done at 12:43 p.m. and it was signed by Ray, who's the technician or whatever. It could be a really cool touch and a really cool experience.
No, 100%. Brand transparency is the name of the game. Obviously, that's why we've built up YAA just as well. And so we love that. We have no ambition of being in your shoes, though. Managing all that inventory and the reconditioning. I mean, 10 acres in Eastern Pennsylvania sounds fun, but I'd put it to a totally different.
It would be fun if it was a farm. It's not fun doing what they have to do.
Well, we just brought on board a really exciting new hire that we're announcing on Friday. Who's going to be running our operations. And so they're going to be our COO. So it's first ever COO. Yeah. So look out for the announcement on Friday. We're going to put it on all of our social channels, but really strengthening the team and, really setting us up for scale.
Go ahead.
Well, I do have a question for you. In today's world, it is very difficult to find qualified technicians. What are you guys doing to make sure that you're getting your hands on the best techs available?
So our business is hub and spoke, right? We have this one reconditioning center, which can support a ton of different actual retail locations, right? And so the advantage there is that all of our hiring is really centralized to this one place. And we've been very fortunate that, we've brought a lot of people and, we've treated them well. We treat them well. They have a good working environment. They enjoy what they do. And so they've brought a lot of their friends and coworkers and whatnot. So the reality is, we're not hiring hundreds of technicians, right? We're hiring dozens and whatnot. And it's manageable still to that extent. And you can get a lot of utilization from one reconditioning center. Like I said, $500 million in total sales at max capacity. But what we've done is, we've really leveraged our network. And so, yes, we've hired from, all the job boards and whatnot. But, it's those specific roles we've done best at when it was someone from within the company that likes being here and they bring someone else that they used to work with. So we really haven't struggled from that perspective. And I think one other thing I'll mention is that many franchise dealers, they operate on what's called like a flat rate conditions where, you sort of, if you're turning wrenches, you're getting paid. You're not turning wrenches, you're not getting paid. So it's sort of inconsistent. It's a commission for a technician. And look, like it makes sense for a franchise dealer, I think, because the work is inconsistent. And so if you have a very slow drought, what are you going to do? You're going to be losing a ton of money throughout. So there's reasons for it. But I think for us, because we don't service the public, meaning our reconditioning center is only for internal use, and because there's, you're always selling cars, right? Volumes change, but you're always selling some cars. And so the techs are actually paid, they're paid hourly. And so there's consistent work. They don't have to worry about, oh my God, I'm not going to have any work. And so a lot of techs want that stability in that type of environment. And so, and the last thing I'll say is it's also, there's more predictability with the role, right? Because we don't suddenly throw an engine on you from like a 1999 Toyota Corolla that can be a 2-week headache. Who knows? Right? It's sort of like, you're getting 4-year-old cars, 40,000 miles, sometimes more, sometimes less. But for the most part, there's a lot of predictability to the role. So people like that.
So Yossi, I've got one final question for you, and I know you're a busy man, so we'll let you get back to your day. But one of the final thoughts that I have is our audience. There are a bunch of people who are interested in making sure that they get a fair deal, that they go through the process and they're well informed and equipped. What's your expectation for what's coming in the used car market? And also, do you have any kind of words of wisdom as people go and navigate this crazy time? Obviously, there's a PSA that we continue to preach, which is if you have a leased car, do not just turn it in. And I know we've talked about that a little bit. You feel similarly about it. But in general, what's your expectations for the market? What should us consumers be thinking about over the next, 6, 12 months if we're buying a used car, thinking about a used car?
So, we're still seeing on the new car side, you still have significant shortages, which has impacted, use significantly. I think that if you're looking at cars that are, 25, 30, 35,000 and above, it seems to be that new car is a better deal right now, right? So I don't sell new cars. I can't help you with that. But it seems like cars under those price ranges is, you're still coming to used, because that's the only place you can get it. But cars in the $10,000, $15,000 range, they are doing all the money and some. They're selling for way more than they're worth, which is increasing the market. And they're also not depreciating, which is wild. Like they're holding steady for months already. The cars where we are seeing, though, as I mentioned, going back to like the 30, 35,000 plus range, we are seeing a more stabilized depreciation cycle now. And so I think that, you know, it's sort of similar to housing, where the cheap houses are they're not going to sell for less than, you know, $300,000-$400,000 or whatever. But the more expensive houses are going to fluctuate, and, you know, maybe especially for cars now, you know, the more expensive cars are entering a normal depreciation cycle. The other thing I'll mention is that there's a lot of demand for electric vehicles right now. A lot of people are asking us about, you know, they want more, and, you know, we simply can't get our hands on enough of them, and they're just going like crazy right now. Obviously, this latest gas, you know, call it marketing campaign. It was literally, this gas prices was a marketing campaign for EVs. But it's definitely, you know, it's pushing more people. Whether or not it's the right decision or not, you could argue that all day. I just think that people are asking for EVs, especially Teslas. So that's definitely on the rise.
All right. Good to hear.
Yeah.
Well, Yossi, if anyone wants to follow you, find out more info about your business, your dealerships, etc., do you mind give yourself a quick plug?
Yeah. So I don't have too active of a Twitter account. But it's just my name. If you look up Yossi Joe Levi, or I believe it's Yossi and my birthday in the Roman numerals or something. But anyways, just look up Yossi Levi on Twitter, and you can follow me. I'm going to start posting more in upcoming, and then of course follow us as well at Getta, where you get to see, as we have a bunch of acquisitions in the pipeline, which we're going to be announcing in the next coming months. A lot of exciting hires. And we're really growing quickly. So it's super exciting times for us right now. So just follow along, and, you know, we'd love to share more info.
Yossi, thank you so much for spending part of your day with us today. We really, really appreciate it. And I know the audience has appreciated your candor as well.
Yeah. I was really happy to be here. Thanks guys. And, you know, look forward to continuing to stay in touch.
See you, Yossi. Thanks.
Thanks again.
So one of the things I'm thinking of immediately. Oh, yeah, we can take this off. We should go to his reconditioning center.
Yeah.
And we should do like a show from there. We should interview people. We should talk to them. I think doing a tour of a reconditioning center would be a good move for us.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something. The other thing that I'm thinking about is I like the idea of vertically integrated, but I also I see holes, or I can poke holes. Like, that's Carvana. Like, and they've proven the pros and the cons of that model. Pros, it's a better experience buying the car.
Yes.
It's faster. It's definitely not cheaper.
No.
And when you try and grow too fast, which is like what a lot of startups do, you end up with some challenges. Like, doesn't matter how good your COO is,
Yes.
You're going to run into some challenges. And that's not a function of a bad business. Like, it might be really hard to actually process the titles at the DMV. Like, I think there's a lot of things that hamstring this digital transformation. But I'll be interested to see, and he's got an interesting take on where things are headed.
Absolutely. He's an interesting gentleman.
Now, one thing that we're working on that I'm super excited about that ties in with that interview that we just did, the car dealer reviews.
Yes.
Okay, you're not going to buy all your cars at Carvana quite yet. You're not going to buy them all at Getta or anywhere else. 76 reviews. I'm going to reload the page. How many do you think we're up to?
12.
126.
Whoa.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. We are collecting
Yes.
car dealership reviews. Please come here and tell us if you bought a new car or a used car. Here's the questions we ask you. What dealership did you purchase from? When did you purchase? What did you purchase? Did they sell it to you at MSRP? Did they require you to purchase accessories? If you answer yes to that, or to protection packages, tell us what they are and how much they were. Would you recommend this dealership to a friend? If you have deal documents, send it, open text box. I mean, this is on the record. This is a live stream. We are not going to monetize this data. We are going to build an open project where people can then search and see which dealerships are not selling cars at MSRP. That is the project. And hopefully this project becomes obsolete in a year because we actually have inventory again. But that's the project. The more data that we collect, the better.
But it will never be obsolete. Even once we have inventory, you're still going to want to know which dealerships are doing things the right way, the consumer-friendly way, and which dealerships are still stuck in old school tactics of hiding things, of information asymmetry, as you like to call it, and keeping you like mushrooms in the dark. So that information will be valuable forever.
You're right. And we've never done a good job of collecting it in a standardized way that we could that we could then distribute out.
Mhm.
And again, we're going to build like a little search so you can type in a dealership. I am so excited to actually have that. And we've got a question here from Turbo. Are you breaking that info down by area of the country? Yeah. When we get the dealership name, we're then able to figure out where they are.
Yes.
I have a vision in my head, which would be like a Google search, and it takes you to the dealership if you search for the dealership, or maybe you could look at it broken down by state. You can see dealerships. And then, as you all know, this is no surprise, we have our car listings, right? Where we have buying. We now have in transit live, which I'm super excited about. So if I go to new, I bet you we start to see some in transit. That's a new EV. There you go. This Audi Q5, not actually for sale, gang.
Yeah.
It's in transit. But then we should be able to link you back to listings at a good dealership. Or hell, if you want to look at listings at a bad dealership, we should be able to just take you right here to that page. I'm starting to see how that could be really, really, really valuable and finally start to solve some of these problems that we're all faced, which is like, hey, how do I actually get a fair deal in this market? I'm dealing with a bunch of people who don't want to work with me.
And who are the dealerships that I should do business with as opposed to the dealerships that I should try and stay away from?
Yep. Veronica here saying, I am looking for a new car I have not purchased yet, but I can give you some reviews on the dealers I have talked to. Is there a way to add that in the collection of data? Yeah, this has been a common refrain, which is I haven't bought a car yet, but I know these dealerships. I've contacted them. Here's what they're doing. I need to add that as an option. I love doing this with you, Pops. Let's think about it. And as a team with the community, we should add, did you purchase a new or used vehicle, new, used? And then another option, which is I haven't purchased yet, but I have contacted dealerships.
But yeah, I've had the unfortunate situation where I've had to talk to dealerships.
Because if we then add that as an option, then we can still ask, what dealership was it? When did you contact them? What vehicle was it? I guess we can still ask all the same questions.
Why not?
Okay, cool. I'll update that after the show today. All right, we had some news. Do you want to turn to this? It is a news broadcast. We got 3 minutes.
Okay.
Man, right here. This is the big one. Auto News with their ads. Biden to invoke Cold War powers to boost EV battery materials, report says. The White House is discussing adding battery materials to the items covered in the 1950 Defense Production Act. If this is news to you, it's news to us. It was just 30 minutes ago that it was published. This is enacting the same law that we used to get ventilators produced during the beginning of COVID to focus on producing materials needed for electric vehicle batteries. We talk a lot about on this show the push to EV and the need for infrastructure. Okay, that's one way to do it.
Well, and the idea behind it is to be able to mine as much of those minerals here, as opposed to relying on places like Russia, China, Ukraine, wherever. So that would be the idea behind it when you do something like this, is to try and figure out ways to be able to mine more of that right here in our country.
And you know what? It's just interesting to see the push to EV become more and more real every single day, which is a great plug for YAA Electric, our new channel that launches on April 11th. Justin will be teaching us everything we can learn about electric vehicles. Let's see here. We've got Turbo asking, are the in-transit cars sold already or in transit to buy? Unsure. Probably already sold.
But most of them probably have names on them already, but it's just a way for dealerships to make it appear as if they might have something to sell.
Yep. Andrew Wang here. Let's see. Funny story. Carvana tried to pull a $9,000 market adjustment after signing and funding a purchase. I'll drop more info in the review link. It's pretty amusing. I won on that, though, in the end. Can't wait to read that. Gamesmanship over at Carvana. All right. Please. Wow. Yeah. Jordan, you're hitting it right. The whoops, where'd it go? The push to EV becomes more and more real as oil gets deeper and deeper. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
With EVs, USA will have to depend most exclusively on China as they dominate the market. Yeah, it's scary. VinFast, $4 billion to produce a factory here in North Carolina. Yeah. Please share the dealer reviews, please. I think that is potentially going to be one of the most impactful things we've ever done. And we've been doing this for 2 years now. So I think this could be it, Dad. I think this could really help people. What do you think? 130?
Yeah, 120, 132.
I'm going 130.
Okay.
What is going on?
Well, you ask and you get. If you don't ask, you don't get.
I'm so glad I added the counter because that's fun now.
Yeah.
All right, we need to hop off so I can add this other radio button.
Yes.
So we said it's going to say, did you purchase a new or used vehicle? So we'll add an option that says, I haven't purchased yet, but I've contacted dealerships.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to do that right now. Gang,
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Yossi, thank you for being on the show today. We got to get more people on the show. That was really fun.
Yes. I enjoy when we get to talk to others that can bring other insights to the table.
He has a totally different, he's running a vertically integrated car dealership, 7 business. I mean, you and me, we just got this channel.
Yeah, well, gotta have something.
Love you, Pops. Thank you guys for being here. See you guys later.
Have a good one, everybody. See you tomorrow again at noon with more news that you can use from YAA.